Dear Jacob and Ross, as I write to you again, my heart is heavy with a sadness that seems to grow deeper each day. The bond between a mother and her children is sacred, yet here I am, feeling as though I have to justify the love I have for you both, a love that should be unquestioned. I keep telling myself, this is it, I'm done, yet how does a mother truly walk away from her children? The thought alone is excruciating. I find myself wondering, how can you feel nothing for me? Ross, with your studies in psychology, I implore you to delve deeper. You of all people should understand that estrangement like this isn't typical of abusive parents. Instead, it's usually the other way around. Why then, despite the glaring truth, do you both continue to keep me at a distance? How is it possible for you to harbor such strong feelings against me when I've done nothing but love and protect you throughout your lives? Deep down, you know I'm telling the truth. Ross, I encourage you to use your resources, consult your professors, or even look into the DSM as you try to understand our situation better. I pleaded for your forgiveness, for reconciliation, despite not understanding fully what I am being forgiven for. Remember, I returned Moji to you, Ross, despite how much it hurt me, because I knew those charges would be dropped, they were baseless, and I knew justice would prevail. That act alone should speak volumes about my intentions and my love for you. Now, as I face days filled with uncertainty and nights with no place to call home, I ask you both to reflect on our past with honesty. How can you justify the indifference and the accusations when all I've done was try to be the best mother I could be? I am not asking for miracles, nor am I expecting everything to revert to how it once was. The damage might be irreparable. But understand this, I forgive you both, because my love for you transcends my own suffering and pain. You were, and still are, my life. Take a moment to look at this from outside the narrative that has been constructed around me. Ask yourselves if you truly believe that I deserved any of this. My love for you is unwavering, and it breaks me to think you might feel otherwise. I'm reaching out not just as your mother, but as a human being who is hurting, isolated, and struggling to find a reason to keep going without the support of her sons. Please, let's try to mend what's been broken, not for the sake of the past, but for a possibility of a future where we acknowledge and learn from our misunderstandings. I must address a more painful truth. It is profoundly distressing to me that you both seem to lack any semblance of empathy or compassion towards me, your mother. This absence is not just troubling, it is unnatural and rare. In the study of human behavior, a significant lack of empathy is generally associated with severe conditions, autism spectrum disorders, where empathy is not absent but might be expressed differently, narcissistic personality disorder, where empathy is overshadowed by an overwhelming need for admiration and a lack of regard for others' feelings, and antisocial personality disorder, characterized by a blatant disregard for the well-being of others. Why am I drawing these comparisons? Because it baffles me, as it should you, Ross, a psychology student, that such characteristics could ever be considered normal or acceptable. I implore you to look up these conditions, understand their meanings, and ask yourselves, do these descriptors truly fit the mother you grew up with, or is there a chance that your perceptions have been manipulated? How do you reconcile these actions with the reality of who I am and what I have always stood for? The events that have unfolded were predicted, documented, and shared with you. The narrative that has been crafted was designed to isolate and harm me, and it has succeeded on every front. You were forewarned, yet the same outcomes transpired. Was this truly a result of your independent thought? Or were you swayed by the orchestrated efforts of someone with their own agenda? Your inability or unwillingness to even articulate what I am purported to have done is telling. If I were guilty of the transgressions laid at my feet, would I not deserve an Academy Award for such a convincing portrayal of innocence? No one can sustain such a facade without a shred of truth behind it. You say I wasn't afraid. Yet, you know the truth. For reasons unknown to me, you choose to inflict maximum emotional pain. The question that haunts me every day is, why? What could possibly justify such treatment towards someone who has done nothing but love and care for you? This is a harsh reality to face, but it is necessary. I am not writing this to alienate you further, but to confront the severe and damaging actions that have been taken against me. Reflect on this, not just as my children, but as individuals with the capacity for reason and empathy. Ask yourselves if this is truly the legacy you wish to continue, where truth is obscured, and your mother's love is discarded as if it were nothing. The bond between a parent and their children is foundational, built into our very nature. It is not normal for this bond to break down without significant and deliberate interference. The attachment process between a parent and child is designed to be resilient, enduring through challenges and misunderstandings. For such a bond to be not just strained but severed, someone must have painted a picture of me as either dangerous or wholly negative, convincing you that you were victims in need of protection. This same person likely portrayed themselves as the supportive, understanding alternative, while casting me in a role that is all bad, all wrong. This is a classic manipulation tactic, meant to isolate and alienate. I ask you, Jacob and Ross, can you still remember the good times we shared? Have you been so manipulated that every positive memory has been erased? Do you no longer recall the laughter, the love, and the mutual care that defined our relationship for so long? Has someone convinced you that none of that mattered, or worse, that it never happened? How can such a drastic shift in perception be justified? My heart and emotional well-being have been deemed irrelevant in this narrative, and what about yours? How has this manipulation impacted your emotional health? It is not easy, nor is it natural, for the attachment system to be dismantled. It requires persistent and pernicious influence to convince someone that they are a victim when they are not. It is impossible for your perceptions to have changed so drastically without significant external influence. This isn't about assigning blame without cause, it's about understanding the forces that have been at play in our lives. Someone has worked diligently to rewrite our history, to erase the bond we shared, and to forge a divide so profound that it seems insurmountable. I am calling on you, not just as your mother, but as someone who believes in the power of truth and reconciliation, to question the narrative that has been constructed around us. Consider the possibility that you have been misled and that our estrangement serves the agenda of someone else. Reflect on who benefits from our division, and whether their motives are genuinely in your best interests. Revisiting our past with honesty and openness is crucial. It's the only way we might restore what has been so unjustly broken. I hold on to the hope that your hearts might remember the love and the truth of our relationship before it was overshadowed by manipulation. With all the love I have,